There is a specific, quiet moment in every toxic dynamic where your agency dies. It's not a grand explosion or a public fight. It is a single, internal decision. It's the second you look at an unacceptable behavior, feel the sharp sting of disrespect, and decide to rationalize it instead of addressing it. You tell yourself, they didn't mean it, or I'm just overreacting. In that fraction of a second, you haven't just ignored a boundary, you've invited them to cross it again. You have just declared that your standards are negotiable. And the moment you make that bargain, you have already lost the game. Most people view tolerance as a noble virtue. They believe that being the bigger person means absorbing mistreatment without complaint. But in the landscape of human behavior, what you tolerate, you eventually become accustomed to. When you repeatedly excuse a manipulative tactic, be it gaslighting, backhanded compliments, or the strategic use of silence, you are not showing strength. You are conducting a dangerous experiment in how much abuse your nervous system can handle before it begins to rewire itself. This is the stage of identity erosion. Over time, you start to rewrite your own perception of reality to fit the narrative the other person has constructed for you. You stop trusting your instincts because those instincts have been labeled as too sensitive or dramatic for so long that they no longer sound like your own voice. Understand that this process is rarely accidental. It is a calculated, step-by-step procedure. Manipulators, whether they reside in your family unit or your social circle, rarely start with major, life-altering transgressions. They start with micro-boundary testing. They forget an important commitment. They accidentally say something hurtful in front of an audience, or they subtly push you to abandon your personal values. If you do not push back firmly, the test succeeds. They now possess a detailed blueprint of your limits. They aren't searching for a person who has no boundaries. They are searching for a person whose boundaries have a flexibility setting. Once they identify that threshold, the psychological cage begins to lock, bolt by bolt. The most insidious aspect of this dynamic is the cost of your silence. Every time you swallow your discomfort, you are physically manifesting stress within your own biology. You might feel it as a persistent tightness in your chest, a recurring migraine, or an unexplained, deep-seated fatigue that sleep cannot fix. This is your body sounding a biological alarm that your conscious mind is trying to suppress. By refusing to speak up, you are prioritizing the manipulator's comfort and ego over your own fundamental sanity. You are essentially paying for their toxicity with your vitality and longevity. Ask yourself, in the quietest hours of the night, is the temporary, fragile peace of avoiding an argument really worth the permanent, cumulative damage to your self-esteem and emotional health? How, then, do you reclaim your lost ground? The answer is not found in a screaming match or a desperate plea for understanding. It is found in tactical non-reaction. When you stop responding to the emotional bait, the manipulator loses their primary source of fuel. When a boundary is crossed, you do not need to provide a lecture, an essay, or a defense. You need a consequence. If they cross a line, you remove yourself from the environment. No explanation, no jading, which means no justifying, arguing, defending, or explaining. You simply exit. By denying them your emotional reaction, you stop being a willing participant in their theater of control. Realizing you have been controlled is not a failure. It is the ultimate wake-up call and the first step toward true sovereignty. You cannot change their nature, but you have absolute, total power over your participation in their narrative. Today, the bargain ends. You stop explaining why you deserve to be treated with dignity. You stop hoping that if you are good enough or patient enough, they will eventually realize the error of their ways, because they already know what they are doing. You stand in the truth of your own worth. The people who truly value you will respect your boundaries without hesitation. Those who don't will be visibly furious that you've finally drawn them. Let them be angry. Their anger is merely the sound of a cage door locking. Only this time, it's locking them out, and you, for the first time, are truly free. If you are ready to stop being a casualty of other people's games, make sure to subscribe to the Logic Sentinel and hit the notification bell. We don't just talk about problems. We dismantle the architecture of manipulation so you can live with clarity. I want to hear from you. What is one boundary you were afraid to set, but finally did? Write your experience in the comments section below. Your story might be the exact signal someone else needs to reclaim their own life today. Let's start the conversation. Stay logical. Stay sharp.